Hello, welcome to this first part of a two-part series that will discuss what makes a brand memorable. In it, we're going to cover some of the business theory, the psychology behind decision making, and share examples of the brands that are standing out in the hearts and minds of their customers, and most importantly, why. But before we get into it, a little bit about me. I've been working for 20 years across brand strategy, marketing communications, digital transformation, and product innovation. I've worked with FTSE 250 companies, some of the biggest brands in the world, including Coca-Cola and Nestle, and I've spent a lot of time working with startups and challenger brands who have often come to me with nothing more than a great idea and a bold ambition. I'm now the founder of Sprout, a business and marketing consultancy that helps purpose-driven brands scale. So over the last 2 decades, I've been lucky enough to work on some really meaty and diverse business challenges. And whilst each of these challenges has been unique and the approach to addressing it very different, if you boil down these challenges, they usually fit within 3 camps: mental availability, physical availability, and operational readiness. Mental availability is down to visibility, awareness, recall, to make sure that you are top of mind at the time of purchase. Physical availability is down to distribution, presence on a shelf, or if you're a D2C brand, your e-com strategy, ensuring that it's optimized for conversion. And operational readiness is around supply chains, efficiencies, product inventory, and commerciality. So for the purpose of this session, we're going to be focusing on mental availability and what you can do by branding, marketing, and communications to increase the likelihood for a customer to recall your brand when it comes to time to purchase. However, it is really important to note that if you are to successfully scale, you need to be thinking about the other 2 in parallel. So, why do people decide to buy? So, despite humans thinking that we are logical and rational decision makers, we weigh up facts, we make considered judgments. This is absolute bollocks. Most studies have shown that the majority of our decisions are made emotionally. So, in order to capture the hearts and minds of our customers, we need to invoke an emotional reaction. We need to make our customers feel something. But how do we do this? So in part 1, we are going to take you through the importance of building a strong brand foundation. So how do we do it? Lesson number 1, talk to your audience, get to know them. So this is where a surprising number of brands fail. So they define and segment their audience based on demographics only. They forget their customers are actually people. Or they focus on too many segments and dilute their messaging so it becomes relevant to no one. Or they have based their whole business strategy on hypotheses and assumptions but have never validated it with a single customer. Our number 1 piece of advice is talk to your customers. Understand their need states and where you fit. Observe them using your products. What do they love? What do they hate? Understand why they buy you and why they would walk away, and find out who they are as people. Tip 2, get specific. Identify one target audience segment. This is the one audience who you are going to put all your time, energy, effort, budget behind. This should be linked to your revenue, so make sure you're very familiar with your sales data. This might feel reductive and counterintuitive to reduce the pool, but in fact it does the opposite and allows you to get a lot tighter on your messaging and increases the opportunity and likelihood of conversion. Tip number 3, paint a picture of that person. Get inside their heads and their hearts. Define who they are, what they want, and why. The next couple of slides, I'm going to show you 2 examples. So the first, this is a customer segment. It's demographically driven. It's very factual. We learn about their age. We learn about their socioeconomic status. And that's about it. But on the second slide, we learn who they are as a person. We learn that they have recently moved into their first flat. They are really proud of the environment they're creating. They're building a collection of plants around them. They care about the environment. Their biggest influences when it comes to purchasing cleaning products actually comes from their mother. And we learn that while she really wants these brands to work, the main barrier to conversion is actually her skepticism. Will these actually work? So you see with the second profile, it gives us a lot more richness to play with. It gives us a lot more direction on how we can actually start connecting with this person when we start seeing the customer profile as an actual person. Lesson number 2, build a brand, don't sell a product. I'm going to say that again because it's really, really important. Build a brand, don't sell a product. This is the second trap that many businesses fall into. They obsess so much about the competition that they end up becoming the exact carbon copy, and there is no reason for the customer to choose their product over the product of a competitor. Does this look familiar? Shelf after shelf after shelf of near identical cereal boxes. A brand is so much more than the way it looks or feels. It is how it feels and makes the customer feel. You need to focus your attention on building a brand expression that is uniquely yours. And a brand expression should reflect the reason why it exists in the world, what it serves to do, the value it offers, the customers it serves, and the philosophies that underpins it. It guides and dictates the operations and how it moves forward. Your DNA will act as your strategic compass. It will inform your business culture, who you hire, what you look like, how you behave. Focus your attention on building out the unique story, getting clarity on why you exist and what you stand for. Simon Sinek talks about this in his Golden Circle, that people don't care what you do or how you do it, but they care why you do it. Get really clear on why your brand exists and the value exchange. I wanted to illustrate this by staying on the topic of cereals. So this is Off Limits. They are an organic cereal brand launched in 2020, and I think you'll agree they look the exact opposite of what you've just seen from the category. Instead of conforming to the conventions, there is not a grain or a yoga pants in sight. They have built their brand around why they exist, who they are targeting, and what is important to them. This is not lip service. They exist to give their voice to marginalised communities, and their actions, how they show up, how they communicate, and where they do this is a true reflection that they mean business. Lesson number 3, whole brand thinking. So the path of consideration has become even more complex, non-linear, and multifaceted. Depending on the product and the price point, there is often a combination of active, seeking out, and passive, being exposed to brand messages that make up the decision to buy. In a world where consumers are shaping the narrative of brands, you will not be able to control your brand message, but you can mold your customer experience to ensure that your value is really clear and relevant to them whenever they choose to purchase. As it is the accumulation of all of the different messages told in slightly different ways that build the brand story and ensure that the tone and the mission is crystal clear when the customer is selecting what beer to drink. So depending on the job to be done and the space that it operates, this narrative may manifest in a myriad of different ways, from social posts to podcasts, retail experiences to welcome packs and thank you cards. It looks different, but it feels the same. The essence of the brand should also seep into the internal workings of the business, from HR to policies. Every interaction the person has with the brand should feel like they've interacted with that brand. The important thing here to note is that it's consistency, not duplication. The brand story needs to be optimized to be fit for purpose in the environment which exists. So BrewDog are an incredible example of a company who does this and implements whole brand thinking. Whether you are reading the back of a pack of beer or watching a video of their latest stunt or reading the company's annual report, the ethos, the narrative, the tone of voice, it's consistent. And it's the accumulation of all of these different messages told in slightly different ways that build the brand story and make it clear why I would choose BrewDog over their competitor. Lesson number 4, dual strategy. So many brands operate an all or nothing when it comes to building their brand or working on the lower end of the funnel conversion. But it needs to be both. In research conducted by some of the top marketing professors, it showed that the most effective brands split the attention. 60% is on building long-term brand equity, increasing perception and the propensity to purchase. And 40% is around immediate conversion, so lower funnel work. So to be memorable, you need to have a solid foundation. You need a unique and identified DNA that stands out and is, most importantly, is relatable with your customer. You need to look and feel consistent wherever and however people come into contact with you. In the second part of this webinar, we will explore how you amplify your message by being social by design. And massive giveaway here, it has nothing to do with social media. See you soon for part 2. Thank you.